Did any of you ever wanted to be a cowboy? Or do you know what it takes to live out there in the ranch and deal with horses, cows, goats, or any, ranch life? Does it take to live like a cowboy? Well, today I have a dear friend of mine and of the library here reading for us. Her name is Babs Kneupper, and she brought her family with her. Her husband, Don Kneupper, her daughter, Amanda, and her grandkids, Colt and Kanon Hayter. So they're gonna tell us what it takes to live out there in a ranch. So I hope you enjoy your story.
Hi, I'm Babs Kneupper.
And I'm Don Kneupper.
And I'm Amanda, their daughter, and these are my boys.
Colt Hayter, Kanon Hayter, and I like to ride horses. I like to be a cowboy. I like to listen to my mom.
Awesome. Colt, what do you like to do on the ranch?
I like to hunt. I live here.
I've lived on the ranch for over 55 years, and it's at the Allison Ranch. It's on 385. I have loved it. It has consisted of raising sheep and cattle, riding horses. It's just been a wonderful life, and I've got to share it with my husband for 47 years.
Okay, I came there in 1974. Before that, I worked right down the road. We're 35 miles south of Fort Stockton. At one time, we had 8,000 sheep, 1,000 cows. The ranch is quite a bit smaller now because they sold part of it, but we still run about 250 cows. We've got 400 goats now, which make more money than anything we have. It's a great way. It's a great family life. We take these boys with us when we work. I've got 2 smaller grandsons. We take them with us. It's just a great family life, we think.
Thank you.
It's not for everybody, but we like it.
So I grew up on the ranch that they're talking about, and then I married a cowboy. We live about 40 miles west of Fort Stockton, and we raise cattle and horses. And my sons, they go with us and ride. And just like they said, it's just a really good lifestyle.
How do the boys help out in the ranching life?
I do the most work.
Do you?
Yeah, and I love to sit down and relax.
No, you don't.
There's relaxing time. on the ranch?
Cole, he's really good about driving the feed truck. So he honks the horn or blows the siren, and he drives around the ranch, and the cattle come, especially right now because we're in a really bad drought, so they come to the feed. And then Kanon, he likes to be on his horse. He's the cowboy. And we do everything as a family.
I'll do anything that involves a gun.
He likes to
guns.
hunt.
Wow.
Which
What do you-
predator control is a big thing. in
What do you
ranching.
typically hunt? What kind of
What do you
hunt?
like to hunt? Coyotes?
I don't really care as long as I get to shoot.
Pigs?
Biggest thing I've
A
killed
lot of
was
predator control.
the biggest
especially
thing
with
I've
goats.
killed was
Yeah.
I think a deer.
A mule deer.
What does the ranching life consist of on a day-to-day basis?
Well, in Pecos County, Texas, was where we are. The hardest thing for us is keeping water. Water is very precious here. It's hard to come by and it's expensive. But, without water, you have nothing. It doesn't matter how good of livestock, how good of equipment you got. If you don't have any water, then you're still out of business. But rain is probably the most important thing we can get, and we don't get a lot of it. But like I said, people don't realize how dependent the ranch and farming lifestyle is on the rain. It is extremely important.
And right now we're in a really bad drought.
Bad drought.
Very bad. We've had some rain, but wasn't enough of
It's
it.
just not enough, yeah.
But it is a good life, but it is a hard life.
It's a hard one.
Everybody has to do their part. Even the little kids
Even
have
the
their
little
job.
Yeah.
Kevin and Amanda learned to ride young, and they knew that was part of their life to help us. But we tried to do things as a family so that they could do some things in town as show goats, be in 4-H. So they had some activities out, but it is a family togetherness that you have to work together. So we've been very fortunate.
And y'all have passed it down from generation to generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is 3 generations.
Awesome.
So we're so glad.
I think it's just awesome that y'all got to raise your kids that way, and
Yes.
you're getting to do the same.
Blessings.
To raise your kids the same way you grew up.
Yeah.
One of the things that's really hard about living that far out is getting the kids to school.
Yeah.
In the mornings, it's not so bad, you meet the bus, but getting back in the afternoon to get them off of the bus, because if you're not there, they take them back to town. And so when we're working livestock or whatever, you have to send somebody to get the kids, which is hard, but
And then as they got older, they were driving at a
Y'all used
younger
to leave us
age.
a truck. They used to leave us a truck at the bus stop.
Yes,
We would drive 8
when they
miles
got
to the
older.
house by ourselves.
But when they were smaller, but it's hard because they have to get up, you want to have a breakfast, you send them a lunch, and we have to work our schedules around them when they got in school. But they were very good about loving it, and it is, like, I'm not meaning that, like Don said, it's just hard.
There's not a lot of time to be bored.
Yes.
no.
I don't mean like, we love it, but I'm just saying it's a different way of life.
And I think that's very nice that y'all are sharing that, because not everybody knows what a ranching life consists of.
No, they don't.
They think it sounds
Well,
fun, but
You know, most people think it's just about the animals, but you also have to take care of the land, because basically what we do, we harvest the grass and the plants, whatever's out there, and you can harvest them through a cow, goat, a sheep, whatever. But if you don't take care of the land at some point, then you're gonna run out of stuff to harvest, and first thing you know, you're out of business. So it's, a combination. You have to take care of your animals, but you also have to take care of your land.
And Amanda, what she's teaching these boys is like a lot of times the calf, its mother gets sick, or goat or lamb, and so they learned at a young age that you had to get up early and you made the milk and you fed these animals, and they rely on you. But it's taking care, it's being a caregiver. So that's a good thing, you know.
Colt, what is your favorite animal out at the ranch?
I would say my dog.
Your dog? What kind of dog is it, and what's his name?
His name's Hercules, and I cannot remember what kind of dog he is.
Catahoula.
A
He's a cow
Catahoula.
dog.
Oh, wow.
He's good at working cows.
He helps you with the cows?
Cannon's dogs are always getting bloody, I can just say that.
Kanon, what's your favorite animal out at the ranch?
Tell.
The cow.
Tell him what that is.
It's our pig.
Yeah.
She's a potbelly pig.
Wow. So are the children involved in 4-H here through school, or how does that work?
He will be next year. He wants to do shooting sports, of course, and he's not quite old enough.
Yeah.
He's kindergarten and 2nd grade, so.
Awesome.
And that was one of the things that Don brought out in our family as Amanda and Kevin were getting bigger. He said, let's get them in something they both can be in, and that was 4-H. And they started out showing goats, and then they brought ranch horses into town, and they would compete with other children. So they got to meet people, because you don't see much meeting and greeting on a ranch.
No.
So how does 4-H work? Do you get to enter your own animal, or are you told what to do?
No, you can enter your
You can
own.
enter your own, yes.
And so your responsibility is taking care of them until presentation day, or how does that work?
Yes, you have to get the animal, you have to care for them, you have to show them at the show. I mean, you can go to just one show, or you can go to a whole bunch of them. But it teaches them, this animal's got to be cared for. You got to feed them, you got to water them, you got to give them shelter, you got to do all that. And it's a great way to, and they have a lot of other activities. Besides the animals, they have shooting sports. They have some cooking things and pet shows and stuff like that. So it's a family deal again. When you go to these shows, you know where your kids are, you know what they're doing. Everybody else knows where they are. It's good.
That's
And
awesome.
the kids had chickens growing up. They had to gather eggs, take care of their chicken, You have predators come in that want to take your chickens away and kill them. I mean, it's like I say, it's looking and taking care of them.
Wow.
And you have to turn back around.
How old was Colt when y'all showed him how to use a firearm? Very little.
Pretty young, like
I
5.
thought I was like 3 or something.
You were pretty.
Wow.
Pretty small.
I mean, they've been around guns the whole time. He just had a really big interest in it, but he's right-handed, but he's left eye dominant. So I had a hard time in the beginning, but I just started letting him do it however he wanted. He's killed a couple of feral pigs and 2 deer last year, so he's pretty good at it. He shoots a .243 mainly.
I started shooting when I was 3 or 4, and now I'm 9 years old, so I think I know how to shoot a gun.
That's
But you-
awesome though
How
that
to
y'all
shoot
are
it.
teaching
But you know
them
about
the
safety.
gun
Yes.
safety.
And I
That's
think
the
it's
main
important
thing I
that
forget. Safety.
they're little, they know about life and death. He knows what happens when he pulls the trigger, that you take that life. It's not just, something that you hear about or on the movies or a video game. Like, they understand.
What are your biggest predators that y'all have out there at the ranch?
It's mainly coyotes.
Coyotes.
She has
That's
the
one of the
biggest
reasons
one,
we
the
went out of the sheep business. There's just so many predators that you can't make any money raising them. The goats we have now, we try to pin them every night. We've got guard dogs. We've got, all kinds of stuff. We've tried donkeys. We've tried llamas. We've tried guard dogs. Guard dogs seem to work the best,
Okay.
but we still lose some.
Do y'all still have the llamas?
We tried llamas.
Yeah. Burros.
You want to find out if your saddle horse is gentle, right up on a llama out in the
Yeah.
pasture.
We just did some flying for predators, and I got to be a gunner in the helicopter.
I actually
Yeah.
saw
Tell them how
that.
many
I saw
we
your
killed.
feed.
We flew for 3 days, and we killed 306 pigs, 85 coyotes, and 4 bobcats.
Wow.
So my arm was pretty sore.
I thought bobcats were the biggest.
Well, I
predator.
just know that predators are a major concern for the safety of your animals that you
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You would not
Yeah.
believe how many you can lose in a year's time. And used to, everybody kind of trapped. A lot of people, where we're at, it was all sheep ranches back then, way back. But everybody went out of the sheep business, and so the few of us that have animals left that they still look for, you just have to fight that much harder.
Yeah.
But it's just part of it.
So the main animals that y'all have that y'all take care of are sheep, cows,
Horses,
Goats.
goats. We don't have any sheep anymore. We got rid of them, but yeah, we have goats, cattle, horses.
You have horses, and you're right now. We're getting ready to. The cows have had their calves, and we're going to be marking. And so you've got to bring your horses in, and you've got to have somebody to put the shoes, because the country's real rough for their feet. And so it's a long day.
So for people watching this story time, what is the main purpose of a ranch? Do you get in your horses and your cows and you take care of them to sell them? I mean, what's the main point
We
of
sell them.
generating money?
That's the way, and it's hard to make money, to be honest with you.
But is that the main
There are
purpose?
2% of the people that feed all the other 98%. We're in that 2%. And yes, we supply meat. There's a lot of other things that are made from cattle and goats. They make some medicine. That's where leather comes from, a lot of it.
So do y'all have a vendor that you sell to? Or?
We usually sell them, yes, either, and we've sold them over the internet. We've sold them to the local auctions. We've had buyers come to the ranch and buy them right there.
Okay.
There's a lot of different ways you can go. They have video auctions now where you just video them, and, a lot of people all over the country can bid on them, and that's one of the new things they've had. But yes, that's what we do. We supply the food. When you go to the grocery store, to the meat counter, that's where it starts from.
Yeah. And goats. It's a real popular.
We send a lot of goats to
Yes.
California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a real big item. When I was a kid, goat, Spanish goat wasn't worth anything. And now they bring $4.50 a pound, something like that. So it's become a real, they're fairly easy to raise if you can keep the predators out of them. There again, he goes right back to that. But yeah, that's what we do. We supply food, just like a farmer supplies, whatever.
Thank
So
you.
that's the purpose.
Kanon, do you ride horses?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you enjoy doing it?
Yes.
What's the name of your horse?
Mine?
What do you call
Depends
them?
on which one.
Cash.
Cash. Tell
No,
her
you
now.
call him something else.
Cash money.
Yeah.
Your horses cash money?
No, what cash? When I was little, I would ride it, so I gave then I quit, so I gave my horse to Kanon. That's how he has one.
So boys, when y'all are in school, how do y'all do that? Do y'all have to do homework before y'all go out to do your duties, or do you do your duties first and then homework?
Well, I have this little watch phone. So like, Mom has this timer. It will go off when I have to do my homework.
Oh, awesome. And then you have to go to work.
We have a lot of doggies right now, so they have to make a lot of bottles when they get out of school.
I'm good at making bottles.
Are you?
Kanon's good at trying not. He's good at trying to get out of work.
But he still helps her, Kanon.
And they have to gather the eggs. We eat our own eggs, and we eat our own beef.
Oh,
So we don't go to the grocery store for eggs or beef.
Colt, do you like getting the eggs? Talk to me about that. How do you go and look for the eggs, or how does that work?
Well, we have a shed. You go in there, get a carton. Then we have 2 chicken coops. 3 actually. And we have this rectangle of wood, and you make these sections. You put some hay or something in there. And then sometimes we need to put fake eggs, because some chickens don't lay eggs until
Oh, wow.
there's already an egg in there.
I did not know that.
So we have those in the chicken coops, and then we just gather them. Sometimes we have a lot, sometimes we don't have any.
Oh. Well, that's pretty nice. You don't have to go to the grocery store and buy eggs.
But
No, you
most
just send them to the chicken.
Most of the chickens, I think, are getting smarter now because they've been here longer. So now they're starting to lay them all around the ranch.
So you have to go hunt for them.
Yes.
And then we have some
I found a
ducks.
couple by our chicken coop. Yeah, we gathered eggs one time, and Dad said, "Do the eggs taste different?" And I said, "No, why?" He says, "Because they're duck eggs." I was like, "Why are you feeding me duck eggs?" He said, "Yeah, I think duck eggs are harder to crack. That's how you can know they're duck
Oh.
eggs.
I
Hard
didn't
to
know
crack."
that either.
And we had turkey eggs. That was like an omelet.
Did you like the turkey eggs?
Turkey eggs, I don't think I tasted them.
Oh.
No.
I was too scared.
So Amanda told me.
They're eggs, but they have all these spots on them. I thought they would give you like chicken pox or something. I didn't know what they
It makes
were.
sense, right?
They have spots on them. That's how you start chicken pox. Fun fact.
Fun fact. Amanda, talk to me about how you became a nurse and you still managed to do the ranch life.
Well, I always tell people that I had to become a nurse so I could afford to be a cowgirl because it doesn't pay very good. So I wanted to do something that was flexible and I could still make money but still, work. And I always tell girls that you have to be tougher than the cowboys, and especially because I'm little, so I'm smaller than most of them.
Her nickname's Smurf.
So you have to be tough and you have to be willing to do everything that the men do and work with them. But I always like taking care of animals since I was little, and then I would take care of people. So I between a vet and a nurse. The nurse was more flexible. And then I like flying, so I'm a flight nurse in the helicopter here. But and then it also comes in handy, like when we do the predator control, because I don't weigh very much, so the pilots appreciate that. You know, so I've got to go quite a bit. That's like my favorite thing to do.
That's awesome. Anything else that y'all would like to share?
That we have been very helpful, because I really would love for people to know our lives and how much we love it, and just for kids to see it. I hope we explain to them a little bit of it and how it is with our grandkids.
Yeah,
So,
it's not all like Yellowstone.
yeah,
No.
Everybody watches that show and they think it's a lot harder. Like,
yeah. And I'm so glad that Amanda, as she says, she has a very hard job, but this is what she loves. But she said, you know, I've got to have something I make money and something I can still enjoy. So it's a real pleasure to have Amanda, and we're just so grateful that we all live close and we all like to work together.
Well, it's obvious she likes what she's doing because now
Yeah.
she has her boys
Yes.
growing up the same way.
She does. She has a lot of animals in her house. She shows Don and I that she loved what she did as a child, and that's a big thank you right there.
A lot of children, especially their age, are not growing up the way they are.
No.
You know, so that it's a blessing to
No.
have them not only know about ranching life, but gun safety, riding horses, taking care of
Yes.
themselves out there with all the animals and
responsibility.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
We can, you know, you can kind of leave them on their own. When we were little, my dad expected us to do a lot of things that,
You know, and we take them, like I said, we have two younger grandsons. One of them's only a year old, but they go with us. Got to stop changing the diaper, you stop changing the diaper. You know, that's the way it works. But they grow up and they know, they understand what it is that we're doing. Now, they don't have to do it when they get grown if they don't want to, but they at least understand what it is that's going on.
And I like, Amanda, how you said that just because you're a girl doesn't mean that you don't work. And same is true for you, Babs, I bet.
Yeah.
Yes.
the women are expected to cook and clean and take care of the kids, and we still go with the crew and we work with the men all day. So there's a lot to it on the other side that people don't realize. I mean, you know, and especially when you take your kids with you, we never left them at the house. So when they were little, you know, they might be in the feed truck with my dad, but when they got hungry, I would have to stop and get off my horse and breastfeed them and then get back on my horse and go back to work, you know. And then at night, you might be up with the baby crying all night, but then you still, because everybody else is dependent on you that day to be there. So the women, you gotta just be really tough, and you put in a lot of long hours.
When my mother was the wife of a cowboy, and it wasn't just her, when you went to work on a ranch years ago, 50 plus, you as a woman, you were usually at home and you were cooking for maybe 25 cowboys, and the rancher's boss did not pay those women. It is better now. And I was lucky that my dad was so good, and I had good horses. My dad was a very good horse trainer. I never had anything but the best. And then I married Don, and he was a wonderful horseman. You know, he would shoe 11 horses in a day or so, and then he would shoe my horses. So he had a lot horseshoeing going on, plus your work days, because you started in the fall gathering sheep, and you had that 8,000 head of sheep. It was long days, and it was a wonderful thing. My mother cooked, and we were family, and she would have the meals for us then. And as I had my children, I kind of had to step back for a while. So it was a very blessing to have Amanda and Kevin, and they both liked to ride, and we went with Don and then it's progressed. It's just a wonderful.
But it was something for you to start getting paid.
Yeah,
Because she
and
used to work just with the men, but she never got paid.
Yeah,
The
so,
women did
yeah.
it, even when I was little.
Yeah, so it was but I just love to ride. But my dad paid me a little here and there, so yes, you know, to make I was like, wow. But I chose that life. I wanted to be with Don. I didn't want to drive 35 miles every day. So I made my choices, and I'm not sorry for it. So I appreciate this life.
That's
Good
awesome.
luck.
But now you go and, like my dad, he's never had a problem with working women, especially if we work just as much as the guys. And sometimes we joke about it because, you know, if there's other women on the crew, they're going to help you cook, they're going to help you wash the dishes when you get done. And if you're just working a bunch of men, they want to eat and, and they just leave. And so now it's a lot better. And sometimes we'll have more girls on the crew than we do men, just the way that things have worked out now. It's different, but
And we're very lucky to have our daughter-in-law who grew up on a ranch as well. So, I mean, she fits like a pair of gloves, and we love it. And so my son and her, we all work, Amanda and her husband. So it's just, I can't express what a good life, but everybody wouldn't want that.
It's not for everybody.
Yes.
But if you like it, it's a great way to live.
Can you tell me what a typical day at the ranch life is?
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, well, we get up, usually we got a few chores, you know, horses to feed, whatever, some dogie calves maybe. If we're working livestock, we get the crew together, we decide on what we're gonna do, where we're gonna go that day, we gather the livestock, work them, whatever. And on a day when we're not working livestock, you can be doing anything from fixing fence to fixing leaks in the pipeline to, you know, working on a windmill. It's not the same routine every day. And you may not even do the same chore all day. You may fix a windmill in the morning and go fix fence in the evening. Or the thing I like about it, you're not punching a clock like today. Instead of having to be at an office somewhere, I went to these boys' schools, we had that, we came here this evening. You know, you're flexible. Now, we work probably 7 days a week, pretty much all the time. But I can take a day like I did today for these boys. And that's what I like about it. You have a lot of freedom that you don't have 8 to 5 job.
and you can involve your family because it's not like you go to work and your kids don't know where you've been all day. I mean, they're with you. They know, like, you had a bad day or if something went wrong. I mean, we're all in it together. So
They know why you had a bad day. And like these boys and the little ones too, if we're riding around in a pickup 2 or 3 hours checking water or whatever, and they decide we want to get out and throw rocks, we get out and throw rocks. You know, I mean, it's the freedom is what I like.
And family time, it seems
Yes,
like.
it's family time. Yes.
Yeah, it's just a life that we love. Again, we say that all the time, and other people are, well, we do it, but we're very fortunate. We've had people, as yourself, to come to the ranch, and you've experienced and saw what it was like putting the cows in the pen, honking them up.
But you don't just leave and go on vacation. I mean,
No.
because it's not a job you do 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
It's
24/7.
Yeah, and if you want to go anywhere, you have to find somebody to take care of your stuff. Because like you said about waters earlier, like if you leave in the middle of the summer and a water tank went dry, you might lose your all your cattle in that pasture. So, especially here, because it's so dry and hot.
But you gotta have somebody check that waters every day. If you've got horses, you've got to feed them every day in the pen, or that calf, or whatever. You've got to be, we say it's kind of like a dairy. Somebody has to be there. It's 24/7. I mean, like I say, we're here and we're flexible, but we know we're going to go back. We're going to be checking on all this stuff.
Well, thank you. I think we got it.
Well, thank you. Well, thank y'all. We
Including anything
appreciate
that I
it.
might have forgotten to ask. I think that's...
That pretty well gives you an outline of what it is. I mean, there's a lot of fine points in there, and like I said, it's a different routine every day. But we work every day, holidays, whatever. you know, we may not work all day, but we'll work an hour or something.
Y'all are like our
We
commercial
do what we
break.
need to do. It doesn't matter, you know, what day it is. It's cold, it's hot, it's raining, it's not raining. Of course, we don't get too many of them raining days, but
We know we're in the part of the desert, but we do welcome that rain and we pray for it every day. It makes
Like
our
during
life a lot
the
easier.
freeze that we had this year, that was really
Oh,
tough.
yeah.
that.
That was hard on the goats.
Yeah, my brother and my sister-in-law were having to pull them off the ground. They would just freeze as soon as they were born.
Yeah.
So they lost
sadness.
a lot.
But there's livelihood too, you know?
Well, you get
I
attached
think
to the animals.
Yes.
Don has taught, as he said one time, our children doesn't make it easier, but they do know things live, things die. Some children don't know that in the other lives. They're protected. And in this kind of life, you do not protect them. Except for rattlesnakes.
Y'all have many of those up there?
I was just
Good enough to go around, yeah.
Yeah, well, we had to say that part. You don't have to, I was just saying, that just came to my mind. Protect your children, oh.
Well, thank you. I think we got it.
All right, thank you. This is Cowboy Ned and Andy. This is the Cowboy Ned, and this is Andy. And as you can see, Ned has on a hat, which I do, and he loves his horse. He's scratching him under the chin. So let's see today what is going to go on. Cowboy Ned and Andy were driving their cattle along the edge of the desert. Ooh, and it's hot. They get up before the sun and they wake their cow, and the day will grow hot. They move in a long train. That means cow, kind of like on a cow trail. And then it gets hot and they stop and they drink from a river. Here's Andy getting his drink, and you know what? Ned has a canteen and he is filling his canteen because he's going to get thirsty. And here comes the cow, and they're all going to come up and get them a drink. All right, it's going to get dark and they're going to stop. And they came and they're one day from being home. Cowboy Ned wrapped his poncho tight in the evening cool. So when it gets dark, it's no longer hot, it gets cool. So here's Andy, he's munching on his oats. And Ned is just sitting there. He's just looking. And he says, you know what, Andy? Tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be another year older, and no one is around to celebrate. I miss my sister, Nanada, my brother Nedrick, and my mother. We'll just call her Mom. Well, Andy, I'm glad you're here. Good night, Andy. He quenched the campfire, so he's gonna put the fire out, and he's looking at his mother and his sister and his brother. And then they're gonna lay down, and it's dark, and it's quiet. Well, here's Andy. He tried to go to sleep, but guess what? He tossed and he turned. Something's bothering Andy. Oh, Andy said tomorrow's Ned's birthday. And the best thing to have on your birthday is a birthday cake. Ned needs a birthday cake, and I'm gonna find him one. And I better go now before he wakes up. Quietly as he could canter, he slipped away from the campsite, and soon he was alone in the desert. On the breeze, he heard a shrill voice. It was a cricket. Cricket was sitting on the rock. Good evening, said Andy. And would you have such a thing as a birthday cake? I need one for my friend, Cowboy Ned, so he can have his cake on his birthday. No, said the cricket in a whispery voice. All I have in the world is my song. And he went on singing. Andy walked on. It was cold, and the sky was clear, and the moon was out. Suddenly, two big eyes shone from the darkness. It was an owl who sat on a cactus. "Phew, I saw you coming a long way off," he said to the owl. "What brings your young horse like you into the desert at night?" "I'm looking for a birthday cake for my friend. He's a cowboy, Ned, so he can have cake on his birthday," said Andy. "I can see far, I can see wide, from the rising mountains to the rolling plains, and I have seen no birthday cake on this desert. Farewell." And he closed his eyes. Andy, he walked on. He was far from camp now, and it seemed that dawn was close at hand. "Oh, I wish I had a birthday cake for my friend, Cowboy Ned, so he could have a cake on his birthday," said Andy. Just then, a voice came from the dusty rock below. "What's the clattering around in the sky?" it hissed. "It's me, Andy, the dapple gray steed," said Andy. He looked down to find a scorpion at his feet, surrounded by stones. See, there's a scorpion in the stone. "What do you want clomping around here, you great four-legged clod?" asked the scorpion, not too politely. "Well, I'm searching for a birthday cake for my friend, Cowboy Ned, so he can have cake on his birthday," said Andy. "I have no birthday cake around here," snapped the scorpion. "I have only my stones and dust, and I'd thank you to go away and let me get back to counting." So here's the scorpion. See, he's counting his stones, and he's not very nice to Andy. "So, well, I'm sorry to bother you, sir," said Andy, backing away. "It's just that it's nearly dawn, and I'd hope—" "Well, if it'll help you to leave any faster," interrupted the scorpion, "you might go ask the old cowboy who lives in the hill. I nested in his boots once on a cold night. Scurry past the big boulder where the moon sets, and you'll find him." And he scurried under the rock. Alone once more, Andy walked on. Here he is, he's walking alone. And it was that time of night when all was still. There was no wind and no sound but his own 4 hoofs on the sand. A little while before dawn, Andy found a house. Just outside was an old as the hills playing the banjo. "Well, good evening, sir," said Andy, or morning, as it may be, he added a bit nervously. After a long pause, the old man spoke. His voice was soft, like hooves on the sand, and the owl wings, and the movement of the dust. "What is it that you want, my friend?" he asked. Andy said, "I'm searching." See, Andy's pretty sad. "Searching for a cake for my friend, Cowboy Ned, so he can have cake on his birthday," said Andy. "I have no cake," said the old cowboy. "Out here, there would be no one to share it with." Andy sat down in the sand. So here's Andy sitting in the sand. "All I want is to give my friend, Cowboy Ned, a birthday cake, so he could have a happy birthday," he said. "But now it's too late." "Is a cake the only thing that would make Ned happy?" asked the old cowboy. Andy thought. He thought of a little house out in the desert and stacks of rocks and wind and the campsite far away. "No," he said. "A cake is very nice to have, but the best thing to have on your birthday is a friend to share it with. I should have never left. A horse doesn't leave his cowboy halfway down the trail." The old cowboy smiled at Andy. "Sounds like the best present you can give Ned," he said, "is to be with him on his birthday. Now go to your friend before dawn." So, here goes Andy. Wow, look at him. He hurried back past the scorpion stone, the owl on his cactus, and the cricket who had fallen asleep, and was still singing himself a lullaby. And he went back and he watched the sky until he saw an edge of it grow pink. There it is, it's growing pink. And then, still gazing upward, he began to gallop, racing Don to be with the cowboy Ned on his birthday. At the campsite, he found Cowboy Ned, and all the cows were waiting for him. The sun was coming up. It was Ned's birthday. See, they're all waiting. Cowboy Ned hugged Andy. Look at him. He was so glad to see him. And Andy wished him a happy birthday. And all the cows sang a happy birthday song in their low and gentle voices. See them singing? They singing. And somewhere nearby, a banjo joined in. And there we go. Bye.
How you doing?
Come see us.
How you doing?